it's kind of the future, so it's a neon tetralogy with little fish. I don't, but yeah, what he said.
I used to have pet fish, I find that. But okay, it's like a dystopian thing about Robert Moses. Science fiction.
It's not really about what it is it's this big mishmash. That's a bad way to pitch it. I wrote something, I guess, in the early 90s. It turned into this huge, it was actually a trilogy, and it dealt with basically people and their relationship to government. And it didn't really have the spark, I didn't think it had the spark to try to publish or submit. And I guess 9/11 kind of rolled around and other things happened, like New York kind of turned into something else. And the point is that, to kind of go save you all the blow by blow, the back and forth with my agent and my editors, it kind of turned into this New York culture of the 70s and this alternate city, this alternate New York that kind of deals, that's kind of predicated on a dirty bomb hitting New York and the city kind of, set up in Nevada. So, yeah, so that's the gist of it. I've always been the worst publicist for my own stuff, so. But anyway, it's really exciting to go by.
It's incredibly well to read. And go by it. And you've written 2 of them now?
I've written 2. I'm working on the 3rd. Yes. And it's going to be each borough, and it's a continuous story. And, yes. And it's a fast-paced thriller.
It is a fast-paced
What are the things that I say that make
I don't know. What else can you call it?
There's candy inside. And I use elements. I use parts of New York City. I use characters from New York that range from from Robert Moses and let's see. I think this new one. I have some of the Andy Warhol superstar people who were alive in the 70s and early 80s who kind of populated it. So in that sense, it's kind of it's an alternate history and. Yeah, and I guess a lot of it had to do with 9/11, and some of it had to do with things like Bush and Iraq, and the uncanny parallels I think between Bush, Iraq, and foreign terrorism versus Nixon, Vietnam, and domestic terrorism, which was happening back then. And but I mean, I really do try to keep it moving and a nice page turner about the same.
Yeah, it's riveting. You keep turning pages.
Riveting, that's the word.
It's riveting and compelling also.
Compelling.
And you have a kind of everyman character who goes through the whole thing, who's the quintessential Nersesian character, I think.
Yeah.
Somebody who things happen to. That's the thread that runs through all your novels, I would say. You have and it's true of you as well. I mean, I think they're all sort of avatars in a way.
Avataristic.
Perhaps.
Yeah.
Neon tetralogy.
Great man.
No, wait.
I'm trying to make spotlight on you, my friend. Uh-oh. Talk about you talking about your book?
Yeah, we can talk about my book, but
you want to go on?
I was going off on a riff about, I was suddenly realizing, I just was thinking about all your books because we were going to go talk about them in front of an audience, so,
Oh, I didn't see that on the list. Okay.
And I was thinking about how different they all are, and I hadn't really thought about the sort of, I mean, aside from New York City, which is, I think of New York City in your books. I mean, you finally have done it. You finally created a replica New York that's actually a replica New York, but there is a kind of parallel New York that runs through every single one of your novels. They're all set in New York, right?
Yeah.
And it's like if you take New York City and you just lift up a little bit from New York to this shadow city where all kinds of ridiculous, amazing things happen to people who are all very different from each other, yet share this kind of, ability to have things happen to them. I mean, a lot of the time it's your protagonists are sort of the unwitting recipients of fate.
Yes,
Don't you think?
I think so.
Do you think that's true of you?
Well, writer as God, maybe. You'd be bored when you watch
I know,
that.
everyone's...
No, that's a good sign.
It's going to get better in a minute.
It's going to turn into a game of ping pong. It's interesting because it actually, when I read my own books, and I mean, it's not like I've written these books years ago, but to see New York changing before your eyes, and I remember, thinking how New York does morph every like 20 or 30 years, and to see it go from I mean, from the, you know, I was born in '58. I'm 50, and to see it go from that point to the '70s, where it really became kind of somewhat barren and impoverished, but you know, culturally, you know, opportunistic, and thinking, by the way, that it was going to, you know, kind of crash and burn. I mean, everybody I knew back then had kind of an escape plan. Like, you didn't want to get old in New York, you didn't want to get middle-aged in New York, and you know, and they couldn't give away the real estate. I mean, the rent rolls were just, it was barren, and to see it go from that, and then the '80s where it slowly started getting better, and living in the East Village at the time, and seeing, you know, this is a great place, and wow, it's interesting, and thinking naively that it was going to stay that way, you know, when, you know, and I keep thinking, like, my father died of Lou Gehrig's disease in 1977, which, you know, sorry. You locked that door?
She's coming right back.
Oh, okay. Just a bunch. Anyway, the bottom line is that 1977 left us, me and my two brothers, 15 grand apiece, and we could have like bought like a, you know, building on Avenue B or something at that time. And the idea that it would never, that the future would turn into what it has, was just, you know, I mean, it was unfathomable then. I had no
You mean
clue.
what would happen to real estate?
Well, in New York City, and even the culture state, you know, it's such a, you know, a wide departure, and in some ways sad, and in some ways, you know, I have to resist the urge to be a curmudgeon, you know. My poor girlfriend. Oh, I guess I should. My poor girlfriend. She likes anonymity. My girlfriend in Minnesota is constantly, like, you know, criticizing me for, like, saying, you know, I remember this 20 years ago, and how it was this, you know, it was cheap, blah, blah, blah. So I'm trying to, like, not do that, and just be more accepting as I get priced out of my neighborhood and stuff.
Yeah, it's just hard to
No, it's a good thing that some guy with a lot of money just came here. I gotta go now. I can't afford to buy a cheese sandwich. You know, so, you know, it's, yeah, that.
Yeah. I mean, you write like a native New Yorker.
Like illiterate.
Like
New Yorkers, I don't know. Oh. Well, I mean, but, you know, the point is that Chinese takeout and unlubricated, and even though I look back at those works, which I just wrote a few years ago, and it just, and I could already see the
how it's changed.
how much has changed since, yeah, that short period of time. And
Well, they were pre-September 11. All three of them, weren't they?
well, one kind of came right at the one came right. I guess I delivered the manuscript about a week prior to September 11,
Right.
which is really perfect timing for publishing. You know, of course you had that
How
happen
did it come
too.
out right before September?
And you had a big book tour lined up, and
I canceled it.
yeah, if you put something about Giuliani in that book, I'm sure it would have sold to the roof.
Oh, you don't remember Julia?
He was the only book that was selling. I mean, Giuliani, you could have peed in public. The guy could have done anything. It's amazing. But anyway, yeah. So that whole season of literature was kind of, and theater, and I guess yeah, New York kind of froze.
What was the manuscript you delivered, right?
Chinese Takeout.
Oh, Chinese Takeout's a good book.
Oh,
Really good. It's like your most romantic, I think your most romantic book. It's ironic that happened, right? It's like a soft, warm novel from Arthur Nersesian. If you guys haven't read it, you should. It's really
Did they
good.
make it into a movie, or is that another?
no, they made it into a meal. No, it's not. There's somebody actually is trying to.
Oh, takeout.
Well, if they made it, they didn't pay me.
Okay, go to the video store and there it is.
I've had a couple films. I guess I've had two options in one film. So you've had a.
Yeah, but you actually went to LA for the fuck up, didn't you? You sat at a table with movie stars who were going to play the guy in the fuck up, and who was it again?
Clark Gable.
Clark Gable.
It was actually well, Jack Black and Julia Lewis and
That's right.
some three-name guy, but not Philip Seymour Hoffman.
David Foster Wallace.
David Foster Wallace. It's either one that's dating anyway. Anyway.
I feel terrible. I feel like I'm in a bird song.
Bad.
You guys want to take some questions from